Let me give you a case study, Darwinian mechanism, because for some reason, and I don't really get this, for some reason Muslims, even Christians, our beloved brothers and sisters in the Christian tradition and other religions and people who believe in God, and even people who are just in the middle, right? And people on the fence, they're skeptics, they don't know what's going on. They think Darwinism is a problem for religious discourse. It's not. I just don't get it. I've been seeing in the sidelines for the past few years thinking, what's the problem? How is there a problem? I don't get it. If someone just understands and studies the foundations of science, the philosophy of science, this wouldn't become a problem for you anymore. Let me explain why. Darwinism suffers from all the limitations that we just spoke about in the philosophy of science. And we've developed a thing called PAD. Darwinism suffers from PAD. It's probabilistic, it has its own assumptions, and there are academic disputes about certain aspects of Darwinism. This doesn't mean you reject it. Oh my God, no, yeah? It's not like, this force of evil that you just reject now. You accept it practically with the notion that it's probabilistic because it's based on limited data. You may have future data in genetics. For example, epigenetics seems to be, a bit of a challenge to the kind of old school thinking on the Darwinian mechanism. Right? I'm not a scientist, I don't know much about this, it's based on testimony of course, but things are happening, right? Things are happening. So you may have future observations and understanding in genetics or other things that can contradict previous conclusions about Darwinism itself. So it's probabilistic, you don't have all knowledge, you don't have all the observations, right? Secondly, Darwinism is based on assumptions, and these assumptions include gradualism, the tree of life, and there are many other assumptions, but you have to adopt gradualism as an assumption, right? In order for you to understand the observations. It's not the other way around, so it's an assumption. And this is why Dennis Noble, the Oxford University biologist, he said all the central assumptions of neo-Darwinism have been disproven. So it's based on some assumptions, and also it has disputes. For example, you have disputes like evolution by natural genetic engineering, neo-Lamarckian evolution, mutation-driven evolution. Now, look, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't have an academic understanding on these, right? And I don't have to adopt them. I'm not saying they're right, but they exist. Disputes exist on the academic level. Assumptions are there. Study the philosophy of biology. Study the assumptions of the Darwinian mechanism. They are unproven assumptions. And it's probabilistic, meaning you don't have all observations, it may change. So how on earth is it a problem? For Muslims at least, how is it a problem? It's only a problem if you've committed an epistemic disqualification. If you believe human limited knowledge is equivalent to divine knowledge. And that has happened only because we have an inferiority complex and because we don't know who our creator is. Because if we believe in God's names and attributes, He's Al-Hakim, He is the wise. He has the totality of wisdom. He's Al-Alim, He's the knowing, He has the totality of knowledge. If you believe He's the wise and all the knowing and He has the picture, we just have a pixel, this would never have been a problem. And we'll just continue the science and love to do science and accept it practically. You could study the Darwinian mechanism as a Muslim and learn how to deal with antibiotics and learn about bacteria and save the world. And like many Muslims do. Because the Quran gives us a spiritual driving principle, value, which says if you save one life, it's like saving the whole of humanity. There you go. What are you going to do? Start walking out of your Darwinism lectures? Come on, man. Do you see my point? It's not a problem. And if it's irreconcilable with orthodoxy, then so be it. Science is beautiful, it's supposed to change. And that's why the Darwinian mechanism is probabilistic from the point of view that you can have future observations that can contradict things that we understand today. It's based on assumptions that are unproven. And there are academic disputes about certain key things of science. Like, is it the tree of life? Is it the bush of life? But it's true, actually that exists. The bush of life idea exists. So there you go. So I don't see how it's a problem. So as a Muslim, you could walk into your biology class and you could listen to the lecturer, and you could be empowered by the fact that you understand now what you call in Arabic the usul of science, the foundations, the framework, the principles of the philosophy of science.